as of last Thursday, I believe, Clyde's been on the show for 1 year, 365 days. Very cool, and I'm very grateful for both of you for agreeing to do this with me every week and just being so chill and interesting and entertaining. Should we break open Crimson Desert?
This is the first game in a long time where I feel like the more people play it, the more they like it. I felt like the controls were not as snappy or responsive as I wanted.
Basically, all of the pre-launch reviews, one of their biggest things was that, oh, people are going to hate the controls. I don't understand what they were referring to. The controls are very similar to just other games. The two games that it takes the most from, which in my opinion are Breath of the Wild and Red Dead Redemption 2.
One of the things that like blew my mind, I like walked up to the side of a building and you can see the rain going down the side of the building.
Yeah,
like that's like cool, a level of like graphical fidelity I was like not prepared for.
I just wanted to climb and look at stuff. One, because it looked so nice, and because it felt good. Like it felt good to go to like somewhere that looks kind of treacherous to get to.
The exploration is so good that you keep coming back. Like that's how good the game is.
Well, I mean, I did hit record anyway. It's Content Farm 32 with Peter and Clyde. Hello, gentlemen.
What's up? Hey.
Hello, welcome. Something anniversary? Something
anniversary. So it has been. I mean, we kind of missed it because it was last week, but we were unable to record last week for a multitude of reasons. But as of last Thursday, I believe, Clyde's been on the show for 1 year, 365 days, which is insane because one, it kind of made me realize that I probably haven't put up enough episodes in that time, because the fact that we're only on 32 is means there's been a few misses there, but that's something I'm going to work on, and we're going to work on, obviously. Also, that means me and Peter have been doing this for even longer, which is crazy. Like we've been doing this for a really long time, and it really went by extremely quick. I think you'll both probably agree. Like it feels like
doesn't even feel like a year.
It kind of feels like 100%. You two are still new friends, like in a weird way, if that makes sense. Like relatively new friends. Like I feel like I've only known you two for a very short time, but no, it's been a pretty long time now. So that's very cool, and I'm very grateful for both of you for agreeing to do this with me every week and just being so chill and interesting and entertaining. Very grateful. It's been a really good time.
There's no agreeing. It's a highlight of my week, man. There's no agreeing. It is a pleasure to do this with you and spend time like this and get to talk about gaming, and like it's one of our favorite hobbies, right? So it's like it's time well spent. So there's no gratitude needed, you fool. Like this is so much fun. This is great. I'm really excited to dig into stuff.
Very good. Well, basically today I want to do a lot of Crimson Desert coverage because Crimson Desert came out I think the weekend before last now, so I've had a lot of time with it. Clyde had an experience with it, which we'll talk about. Peter, did you get around to playing it at all?
No, but I did watch a bunch of gameplay of it, though. So I think to get a feel of it.
I think I've probably played it for about 30 hours now.
Nice.
Over the last few days, I didn't really get a chance to get around to it because I've been busy. But yeah, for a good few days when it came out, I was like non-stop playing it. So I do have quite a lot to say. Other than that, there's a few other little stories to talk about. Some news, some AI stuff, which is typical. Some news involving Warhorse Studios. A couple of others, just small basic topics. Some chit chat, obviously, as always. But should we break open Crimson Desert?
All right, let's go.
Do it.
So
start it off.
Clyde, do you want to talk about your experience first? Because it's much shorter and, it's an interesting place to start anyway. So what went on with you in Crimson Desert exactly?
I was very much there for launch day, very excited, and unfortunately my PC, while the PC did meet the minimum specs, it did not run the game well, and as a result, the game kind of ran pretty choppy, and I don't know if it was either the bloom or one of the other visual effects or just the stuttering from my PC, but it actually gave me really bad motion sickness playing it. I don't know if it was the camera jostling around, but after about like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, I was like, ooh, this doesn't, my eyes are not agreeing with this, or my balance is not agreeing with this. So yeah, I had to refund. I'm still very much excited to play it, and I will refund once we can either get it on a stronger PC or even maybe hop over to console, depending on how it runs on those. But yeah, I only played about an hour and a half of it. And what I played, I enjoyed. The graphics were meltingly awesome, but the frame rates on my rig were just not up to snuff, unfortunately.
That's a massive shame, and it's also makes me extremely grateful for the fact that I obviously am lucky enough to have like such a powerful PC to the point where this is basically, I'm sure Peter will agree as well, to the point where like stuff like this is basically a non-issue. But it's it is. It's you know, it's, I'm very lucky and very privileged is basically what I'm saying, and it is, you know, it's a shame that the game obviously isn't optimized amazingly for people with like medium lower end rigs, but my experience with performance was the exact opposite, obviously, because I think I overpower the game quite significantly in terms of the PC. I run it on like max settings, like the cinematic settings, like the absolute max settings preset with ray tracing on, and I don't think I've ever seen it drop below 100 frames, and that's at 1440p. Yeah, it's incredible.
I bet it looks gorgeous. I mean, it even looked good on my potato rig, so I bet it looks really good on yours.
It's one of them things that it's just like unbelievable to witness on the screen, because the graphics are so strong. Like, it really does look like a 2026 AAA game, like as they should, as they should look. And just,
I'll tell you, I knew I was in trouble when we booted up the game on our rig for the first time, and the two load screens were agonizingly long on our rig. The first, the shading, like building shady cache was like 5 minutes, and then the load screen into the game, the long portal thing, took really long. Like, that took a really long time.
Oh,
no. Are your load times good? I'm curious.
Oh, my load times are fantastic. Yeah.
Did
you have it installed on? Do you have it installed on an SSD?
Yeah, we do.
You did? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I haven't heard of people having that issue. It must have been really struggling with actually like grabbing the information. Yeah, that's a massive shame. No, I really don't. In terms of performance, I don't think I have a single issue. I've never had a stutter. It hasn't stuttered a single time. There's never been like a graphical visual error. That's never happened. Yeah, and the load times were fast. But this is all also insane because I haven't really had a chance to get on over the last couple of days, but they did an update 2 days ago where apparently they made it run significantly better on both PC and PS5. They actually added FSR to the PS5 version, which means that it's going to look nicer, and you're going to get probably like, you could get up to like an extra 50% of the frames if they're using FSR in the way I think they are anyway. So that's great for console players. But yeah,
I've seen the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck community is hoping beyond hope that it'll run on Steam Deck in the next year. I'm like, that would be insane if it actually runs on Steam Deck, even remotely well. But I mean, yeah, it seems like the studio is really good at cranking the optimization out. So man, I'm excited. I want to hear about the game though, because IGN gave it a 6 out of 10. They gave it a 6 out of 10, Sean. So give us the real spill the tea. Spill.
Look, I like shitting on IGN is the ultimate beating the dead horse. Like, I know, but like, I'll play devil's advocate a little bit, because apparently I've heard on Twitter from a lot of people who had like the early review code version of the game. Apparently it's extremely different to the launch version of the game, like to the point where mechanics and shit are actually changed, and performance. And I think performance was probably way worse, like just guessing. Like, for example, a lot of people saying that some things felt janky and quality of life felt bad. Well, here's an example of something that changed in that pre-release version. Apparently, you know how in like any kind of MMO or role-playing game, you'll like track your quests? Well, it used to be where if you track any side quest, if you finished it or moved on to the next step to the point where like the quest objective would change, it would automatically reroute the quest to the main quest and just remove your tracking of the side quest, and that was intentional. That wasn't a bug. Like that was a thing that they decided to do, and that's an example of something that did get changed before release. And that's an example of something that might have really pissed off early reviewers. And I think there may have been multiple things like that. So
minor though.
It's minor-ish, but you know, I'm trying to play devil's advocate for IGN here. Like, what if there was loads of things that were really shit in the pre-release version that we don't know about? Like, but no, based on like my initial reaction to that IGN review, that sounds ridiculous. For comparison, Marathon came out a couple of days ago. They gave it a 9 out of 10. They give Concord
even if so, then they're rating the pre-release. Like they shouldn't rate the pre-release. They should wait for the release and then rate the product that the people are getting.
Yes, that's very true.
It doesn't make sense to rate something that nobody else gets to play. That's so inaccurate just from the beginning.
You are right. IGN are the kings of like doing everything they
IGN
can
gave
to try and be the
Concord
first.
a 9 out of 10, and then they turned around, gave Arc Raiders a 6 out of 10.
Arc Raiders got
which one
6?
is still going strong? Yeah. Oh, it got
They gave Arc Raiders a 6? That is horrible. That is
why?
ridiculous.
Might have been a 7, but it was low. It was low. It was a scathing review. You know.
Wow. I remember this. Yeah, and it was like a typical games journalist kind of shit gameplay review. Yeah, I remember this. I remember this.
And like he showed his gameplay and he was just terrible.
That's the one where he said it's like Fortnite because you have a pickaxe. That's the same review?
That's the same guy.
Yeah.
Basically Fortnite with the pickaxe.
I'll say, Sean and I know I mentioned this before, but I want to say this to Peter as well. Like, it's so bizarre to me. This is the first game in a long time where I feel like the more people play it, the more they like it. Like, the more I see people playing it for 10, 20, 30 hours, the more their impressions of the game actually go up. And I've seen that like sentiment on Reddit has been positive for people who've played a lot of it. I've seen a lot of reviewers that have praised it positively, but it seems like the first 6 hours might be the roughest if my gut is correct. Like, it feels like maybe they just throw too many mechanics at the player or something. I don't know. Was that your experience, Sean? What was your first 10 hours like?
I would say there is a little bit of that. But there's some games that are really bad examples of that. Some examples off the top of my head are like Red Dead 2, as much as I love it, has like a 5-hour intro in the snow. I'm sure most people who've played it know what I'm referring to. That's a famous example. The Witcher 3 is famous for taking upwards of like 20 hours to get into the meat of the game, which is really problematic for people with low attention spans like myself. And I really don't think Crimson Desert falls into that, to be honest, because from booting up the game for the first time to being allowed to do whatever you want, I would say is like an hour, maybe 90 minutes, which really, really, really isn't bad, in my opinion. And it is a game very much like Breath of the Wild, where the whole point is the story quest is kind of, I maybe don't want to say an afterthought, but
optional to a degree.
optional to a degree. You need to do it to like unlock certain stuff and to progress the game. But really, the reason you're there is to just run around and look at stuff and get into fights and like explore shit and do puzzles. And I actually think they did a good job at getting you there quickly while still giving you the option to like understand stuff and giving you a tutorial. The tutorial is extremely brief. I'm sure you played it, Clyde. There's an extremely brief tutorial where you're forced into a fight at that camp at the start of the game. It really doesn't go on for longer than like 10, 15 minutes. But it was helpful and it was intuitive. And then it does that thing that like all stories do, where the main character is like kicked into a river. But like, you know, your skit, Peter, your animation of the big enemy like throwing people every time they grab them, they throw. Yeah, the villain does that to you. The villain does that to you in the start of the game. He's like, I finally got you. Are you dead already? And then he kicks you into a river. Which obviously you're gonna survive because you're the fucking main
magical
character.
Things happen.
Yeah. So you do that. That's basically it. Yeah.
I want to ask Sean. I want to one quick question because I'm curious if this is a PC performance thing that my potato PC was running into. I felt like the controls were not as snappy or responsive as I wanted. Like, I would push jump and my character wouldn't jump as quickly as I wanted them to, or the combat movement felt a little more sluggish than I was anticipating. Have you experienced that at all, or is that just my potato PC? I'm curious.
No, that's not PC related. That's definitely a thing. About the jump specifically, I actually think it was bugged because about like 3 days after the game came out, they fixed it in a patch and it's completely fixed now. Yeah. So I think that might have actually been some kind of bug. But the rest of the kind of floaty movement and like cliffs sort of take it like, you know, when games do that thing where the turning circle's a bit wide, so sometimes you walk off cliffs by accident. This game's really bad for that. It is really bad for that. It's got floaty movement. But
it does.
My biggest complaint.
Felt a little floaty too.
Yeah, that's like my biggest complaint about the controls. I in terms of like actual button mapping on controller, I really don't know what all the fuss was about. Because basically all of the pre-launch reviews, one of their biggest things was that, people are going to hate the controls. They were like, listen, when this game comes out, you're all gonna hate the controls. Like, just try and you have to try and get through it. It's tough, but you're trying to get through it. And then, having played the game, I don't understand what they were referring to. Again, maybe some stuff was changed, but the controls, as far as I'm concerned, are very similar to just other games. Especially the two games that it takes the most from, which in my opinion are Breath of the Wild and Red Dead Redemption 2. Controls from both of those games are literally just the same in this game. Like, you have the Red Dead weapon wheel, and the sprinting, climbing, and running around is the same button combinations as Breath of the Wild. I'm really not sure what all the complaints are about. There is a lot of abilities, but the way you use them just boils down to, like, holding in left stick, holding in right click. In combat, you do the usual, like, press square or triangle or square and circle.
Holding in left stick?
Yeah, that's like an ability to grab stuff with like this grapple hook that you get, which really isn't, you don't use it like in combat or anything. It's quite like a specific thing. It's just like it's used to like move around puzzle pieces. It's really not that important, and the control to use it is actually fairly just easy in my opinion. So I played the game for 30 hours. I have yet to be confused by controls. That was one of the first things.
What's the gameplay like? What's the combat like, though? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, combat. Honestly, I think if you go into the game expecting really good combat, you'll be disappointed. But I also don't think it's terrible. It sits like in just sort of a really average combat situation. I'm trying to figure out what to say it's similar to, but it's quite hard to pinpoint what it's most similar to. It does feel there's a bit of The Witcher 3 in there. I know that sounds really bad. There's a bit of The Witcher 3 in there. The way you kind of like wildly swing around and just mash the buttons until you get the kill animation is really similar to The Witcher.
Did you play Black Myth Wukong, Peter? In Black Myth Wukong, the character, and this also happens in Crimson Desert, when you do your like light or strong attack button, your character will like jump towards the nearest opponent, and they'll do that attack on that opponent. There's like, it's like kind of linking to that
like
opponent.
The Arkham games?
Yeah. It's like auto aim.
Yeah. It is like auto aim, yeah. And I think Crimson Desert kind of felt like that too. Not as much as Wukong, but it does feel very much like you're doing your attack and it's going to the nearest target and you're waiting for the kill animation to
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it's like. And it's, I don't know if this is just me, but I really I haven't asked anyone about this who played it. I think I have, but I didn't really get a clear answer. I really had issues with seeing what was going on in combat. That was a really big problem for me, because there's usually a lot of enemies. The game, that's like a feature this game has that I haven't really seen in a game before. They will literally throw like 20, 30 upwards in certain situations, enemies at you at the same time, and the game still runs flawlessly. So they found a way to make that possible. It's really great. It's cool cinematically anyway. But it's so chaotic that, yeah, like Clyde said, what you end up doing is just like pressing square and seeing wherever like you auto aim to but you can't really see what's going on. So it's hard to tell like who you're damaging and who you aren't. And then you get the kill animation eventually, which is where you just like chop someone up. And then you're like, okay, killed that guy. And then you move on to the next guy. And that's the whole combat. Yeah. You can parry people and shit, but oftentimes there's so many enemies that there's just no point trying to bother. At least that was my experience anyway.
Right.
Yeah, and you can block with a shield, but again, there's so many enemies that there's usually at least 18 people behind you and 18 people in front of you. So blocking with a shield is only front facing, so you just get fucked from all directions. So it really is just like, I'm trading damage with the enemy. The enemies are hitting me, I'm hitting them. Nothing really actual.
Like Dynasty Warriors or something? You're just fighting crowds the whole game?
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's that dramatic, because it still feels quite like, Arkham-y kind of. It's not quite as dramatic as whatever, I forgot the name you just said, but I know what you mean.
Dynasty Warriors. It's not Dynasty Warriors levels of like, it's not 30 enemies at once, but it is definitely 15.
No, there is some points where there's I think I've seen like 50 before, but you probably never got to that point, Clyde. That's when you go to like actual like raid camps and shit. Yeah, there's an insane amount of enemies. But yeah, even in small camps there will be like 15, like Clyde said. Yeah, and there's enemies, there's archers and shit as well, and they'll just shoot you from any direction with no warning. So you just end up, like I said, just trading damage. Like you end up just taking damage from everywhere. That's how the combat feels.
In a game like this, you want to feel like up close and nitty gritty and parry and things like that. But because there's so many enemies and it's kind of zoomed out, it is kind of unintuitive. Like it does feel like combat's a little bit zooming around from pockets of enemies to defeat them. But yeah, it's there's definitely something interesting there. And good grief, it is a looker the entire time. The game just looks gorgeous and runs so well. It's incredible how they managed to do all of it. But I would give the combat a passing grade.
Yeah, same.
I didn't play enough of it to really give a full review score, but I wouldn't say it's like super, super deep.
Yeah, I would say it passes, but just because of the nature of like how chaotic it is, it's really difficult for it to actually be structurally well designed because there's just so much going on, and there's no way to control all of the factors as a player, which I don't like personally. I
prefer, end up just mashing attacks.
Yeah, you end up mashing attacks usually towards like a big group of enemies. So like you'll end up just like locking on to one of them until you kill them, like until they die, and then you'll move on to the next one. But all these enemies are just swinging and flailing around like at the same time, and there's often like, you know how the games will have like a couple of archer enemies, and sometimes like in Tsushima they make a noise to indicate when they're like shooting and shit. But this game will have like 6 archers, and they'll all be like 20 meters away. And they have like no war. They don't do much damage, but this is what I mean when I say like you're constantly trading damage. Like there's like 5 or 6 archers, and every now and then you just go, oh, there's an arrow. There's ouch, like needles. Like someone just throwing little needles at you, and I'm like, fuck off. And you try and chase them down, they run away. Yeah, there's usually a lot of archers, and that adds to the sense of it just being a little bit incomprehensible, I think is how I would describe it.
Can I ask, when you wipe, does it feel unfair? Because like the reason I ask is because like in a FromSoft game, when you're fighting a boss, it's you and the boss, and if you don't watch the boss and you dodge early or something, you die. But you at least can tell yourself, yeah, I dodged stupidly. Like I should have watched for that, and I should have dodged. But in Crimson Desert, there's so much shit going on. Like, do you feel like it's fair when you wipe, or have you even wiped yet, or have you been able to kind of grit through most stuff? Or I'm curious.
I would say the game isn't difficult enough. It is not difficult enough to run into this issue. Because, yeah, I've like barely died, and the only times I've notably died were on a boss that was particularly hard. And all I did was I went away and I mined for a ton of materials and leveled up all my shit. And it's like it has the same food system as the modern Breath of the Wild games, the modern Zelda games, where you can just carry like a massive inventory full of like full roast dinners with like 15 ingredients like in your pockets, and just pause and use the pause menu to eat them, the same as Breath of the Wild. So you can do that.
Wow.
So you can do that and just power through any boss basically if you dedicate enough time to doing it. So that there was a boss that it was called like the Reed Devil, I think, which is the one that I saw a lot of people get stuck on because it's a bit of a difficulty spike. But yeah, it just feels like I said, it just feels like you trade constantly. But luckily the game isn't tough enough, and you can overcome difficulty in so many ways that it doesn't run into that situation where you're frustrated because it feels unfair, because it's not that hard. It's not hard enough. You can just basically just spam anyone down by pressing square if you really want to.
Is it fun though? I mean, are you avoiding combat because it's annoying or not fun, or do you care?
That's a really good question. You made me think about it now, and that's put it in a different perspective. I do kind of avoid it, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I do a bit. Yeah, like when I come across a camp, I don't get excited. I just kind of like sigh a little bit, and I'm like, I could kill all the. It's mildly fun. Like it's mildly fun to kill these people, but it's not. It really is just mindless.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang.
That's what it looked like when I was watching videos. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's not a deal breaker for me anyway, and I do care about combat. It isn't a deal breaker.
But you said you like the exploration.
Well, the exploration is like the absolute selling point, the main purpose, like the grand venture of this game. Like that was the whole aim. They sacrificed story. They probably sacrificed gameplay. Admittedly, they said this recently, just to make sure that like the exploration and the experience of the world itself feels as good as amazing as possible. And it succeeded. It was a trade-off, and it's one that some people might not like depending on your preferences. But for me, it's an absolutely amazing trade-off because the exploration is wonderful. It really feels like the first time I played Breath of the Wild. I got really similar vibes, and there's multiple factors that contribute to this. Some bigger than others. I think the first main one. I feel like you might have felt this even from your like hour or two of playing, Clyde, but just the scale. I'm sure when you went to Hanand, I believe that's what it's called for the first time, you probably looked around and saw the colossal fucking locale in the surrounding area, because there's like towers, mountains, hills, just ominous looking structures everywhere, which is something that Breath of the Wild and Tears, of course, do very well. And yeah, it's one of them games, you know, you can, like the Todd Howard thing, like you see that thing, you can go over there, like it's just that, but obviously on a scale and graphical fidelity that like a Nintendo could never do. So it, in a way, I described it when I initially played it as like what Breath of the Wild would be like if it was a PC release. That's basically what it feels like, yeah. And I mean,
you're gonna cry for my PC, Sean. When I arrived in Hernan, like the first little town at the tutorial, it was raining really heavily in my game, and that even chugged my PC even more. My PC was like, "No, it's raining right now. Oh no!" But yeah, it looked gorgeous. I mean, the lighting effects, like to give you like one. This is gonna sound really stupid, Peter. One of the things that like blew my mind in Hernan was like when it was raining and like people are like walking around with their torches. I like walked up to the side of a building and you can see the rain going down the side of the building. Like that's like cool, a level of like graphical fidelity I was like not prepared for. I was like, dear God, this game is really pretty. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on, but yeah, definitely really pretty. Oh man, the exploration's got to be great.
This game is a really good example of how lighting is possibly the most important thing for making a game look, one, realistic, and two, just beautiful. Because remember how like last week we mentioned the fact that like adding ray tracing to Quake made it look like surprisingly good, even though it's still just Quake. It's the same sort of situation. Like lighting at the end of the day. Like that's why ray tracing is just so good, and that's why Nvidia spent so much time and resources trying to get into that area, because the lighting is one of the most impressive things visually, if not the most impressive thing. And this game takes like really good advantage of it. And I don't even think you need ray tracing, because I'm Clyde. I'm guessing you didn't play with it because it would probably fuck the PC, and I'm guessing it's not on console either. Absolutely. But the way the game handles lighting is perfect. Like every time you're in any situation with a light, it's like, you know, when the light goes over like a cliff and you just see like a god ray. There's god rays everywhere, unless it's like perfect day, like noon daytime where it's just like full sunlight. If you're in any sort of mildly atmospheric area, there's god rays everywhere. There's fog, like the light like pierces through the fog. Like Clyde said, every light source, like torches in the rain and shit, just looks unbelievable. Like it's one of like the rain is really realistic looking. You can hold your torch and it'll light up, and it'll light up like all the individual rain like around you while you're traveling. It's ridiculous. Great. Yeah,
it's really good looking. I like it.
The dark areas are actually dark too. Like they give you a lantern because you need to use it. Like even in the tutorial dungeon, there's like dark areas that you have to pull the lantern out to like navigate through, or it helps quite a bit. So yeah, the lighting and system is really impressive. I definitely would give it 2 thumbs up, and I'm excited. I want to ask Sean, because like one of the things you talked about was like comparing it to Breath of the Wild, and I will say anecdotally, I loved the world of Breath of the Wild. Like I thought it was a very pretty world. But there wasn't a whole lot of stuff in the world, if that makes sense. Like, I much prefer Elden Ring's approach, where if you go somewhere, you'll find a cool new spell or a new ability or a new piece of armor or new something. Whereas in Breath of the Wild, it's like, here's your 35th Korok seed, and now you get your 36th Korok seed. Is Crimson Desert... I've heard Crimson Desert has a pretty good approach to this. Like, there's a bunch of cool shit all over the world. Is that the case, or what's your experience been like?
Firstly, I want to address what you said about the comparison between Elden Ring and Breath of the Wild, which is a great one, and it's a conversation people have been having since Breath of the Wild came out. And I actually am on the side where... Because I don't care about Korok seeds or anything. Like, I never did any of the collecting the Korok seeds and shit. And the shrines, even the shrines, I did all the shrines, but they were not like... That wasn't what I was excited to see. Breath of the Wild was just a game, and Crimson Desert also hits this mark where I just wanted to climb and look at stuff. One, because it looked so nice, because it looked interesting, and because it felt good. Like, it felt good to go to like somewhere that looks kind of like treacherous to get to. Like Breath of the Wild has loads of like really tall mountains, really massive caverns that are just like dangerous, and Crimson Desert also does that as well, where you just feel kind of rewarded whenever you get somewhere cool, even if there's not something there. But Crimson Desert does have things around the map, which is obviously the second part of what you said. I'm either here or there when it comes to the Elden Ring boss around every corner versus Breath of the Wild. empty, I suppose you could call it empty, but which I'd say that is valid, but it's not empty in like a soulful way, if that makes sense, because the map does feel quite lived in, and it is detailed in Breath of the Wild. But yeah, the Crimson Desert is definitely a bit of both. It's not Elden Ring like copy paste bosses everywhere. It doesn't go to that level, but it's you'll quite often find some stuff, especially in the places that look like there'll be a thing. There's probably a thing. I would say it's probably better than. I don't know if I want to say it handles it better than Elden Ring, because that's a massive claim. But the issue with doing that in Elden Ring was that people normally play Elden Ring with one build. So if you found spells and shit, you probably just didn't care. Or if you found like staffs or daggers and shit, and you were playing greatsword, you probably
there's
didn't
still
care.
something useful. Versus like Breath of the Wild, where it's just another chest with 30 rubies, woohoo, or
the Korok seeds
arrows,
the Korok seeds are the poster child of that issue. But yeah.
Well, at least those had a use. But like, how many times did you like find this cool area and then you open the chest and it's like, oh, bombs, I have those, like something really menial like that. Like, it happened a lot in Breath of the Wild, and like you said, even Korok seeds. It's just, like once you get enough of those, it's just not fun looking for them.
I think
usually like this. It feels good when you like solve a puzzle, like, oh look, the rock was missing from this little circle of rocks, and I solved the puzzle. So easy, but then then you get to like the 30th one of those, and they're not even trying anymore.
That's a good point to bring up, actually, because Crimson Desert does have some quite advanced puzzles that are completely optional and that you'll just stumble across. There's some that I had to just leave because I didn't understand what was going on at all. One of them was like, there was a civilization that was digging up relics, like they were all actively doing it. They were all out with like pickaxes and shit, and they'd managed to like get into some underground crevices where there's like ancient. It's one of them games, where they have like the ancient fucking mystical rocks and shit, which is just a trope. It's a trope in open world games, but it's one that I don't mind, so it's okay. And yeah, they managed to get in, and there was interactable pieces everywhere, and I was very clearly supposed to do something with them, but I just really couldn't. That's just one example. Like there is stuff like that is either you don't quite have the tools to do that yet, or it's just too confusing. And I don't want to Google anything, so I'm not gonna Google puzzles like that. So I just left it. I wish I could leave.
Good, it's not a puzzle if you approach it and you're like, oh, I know the solution immediately.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that is true. Yeah. Now, I'd say the game definitely handles that sort of stuff quite well. There's a couple of puzzles that I've had to leave, but a lot of puzzles that I did do eventually, and they were all very optional. Like, I'm talking really weird, obscure places on the map. Yeah. The exploration.
I think it's got to be a testament to just. It has to be a testament to the exploration and the beauty of it, because like the combat is mid, the story is mid, but the exploration is so good that you're like I'm just gonna walk past this other stuff and enjoy the world. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for, and it did. I mean, that's what they said it was going to be, and that's what I got my hopes up for, because I like those kind of, like, Breath of the Wild is one of my favorite games ever, and any game similar to that will also be up there. So I would actually say it was easily their biggest main inspiration, which is funny because I don't see people. Maybe not that many people just played Breath of the Wild, but people were like, oh, it's kind of like Elden Ring, kind of like The Witcher 3. But as soon as I had my hands on it for like 5 hours, I was like, no, this is very obviously like this is this is like, it's like 75% Breath of the Wild and 25% Red Dead 2. Like there's a massive Breath of the Wild inspiration there. It's not even like a secret. Like it's just absolutely obvious. It's like rubbed in your face.
Yeah, some of the things it feels like they ripped off a little too close. Like the stamina climbing on the walls. Like it's like they literally just ripped that system from Breath of the Wild. Like anyone who can't see that, I'm like, it is the same. It is literally the exact same system. And you upgrade your stamina like little squares at a time. Like it is the exact same. They
you have the glider as well.
Like
you get the glider at the start of the game as well. And I was like, oh, okay, I see what we're doing. Because before watching like the pre-launch gameplay, I wasn't sure if the glider was just like a movement ability. But no, it's literally like you can upgrade it so where you do cool shit, but the basis of the whole game is Breath of the Wild. That they've built on top of Breath of the Wild. It's fun. It's fundamentally Breath of the Wild. The way Cliff moves, like you said, the stamina bar, the sprinting, even like the sprinting animations and the climbing it's identical. And that's the core. That's the core of the game, which is like the most important part. The part that's gonna that everything else is going to build on top of. And that was Breath of the Wild for Crimson Desert.
It is very
so when you're fighting groups, you just mash attack, but like solo versus like stronger units like bosses and stuff, does it actually have some meat on its flesh? Or are you actually like having to dodge and parry and do complex combos, or is it just more mashing with like a block thrown in or something?
Yeah, great question. The one-on-ones are the highlight of the combat because you don't have that issue of it just being like absolute uncontrollable chaos. But I will say though, there were still some bosses like the Reed Devil, which I think was only the second or third mainline boss because I haven't done much story content yet. I just left it. But he was kind of like, he had attacks that were just ridiculous, like hitting you like 100 times in a second, and then he had attacks where he like duplicates himself like 10 times over, and I'm like, oh my god, okay, this is a lot. And then I ended up just spamming square until they go down. But no, that was like one example of one that I thought was pretty ridiculous. But no, some of the other some of the bosses that actually just have like fairly reasonable melee attacks and some movement. That actually felt good. I feel like they should have taken advantage of that more. Maybe they will. I'm not very far in the story. The boss fights might continue to be great, but those were really good. And the combat is tailored to that because, like I said, you can block, you can parry, you can perfect parry, you can dodge, you can perfect dodge. It's just that in most of the fights, which are against like 15, 20, 30 enemies, those things are just not that viable. Like they're really not, and they're not like useful either because you don't want like, what's the benefit of like parrying this one enemy when there's so many enemies around you and you're just gonna fucking smash them all anyway, like with like wide swinging attacks and shit. It's really weird, and like I said, I'm not very disappointed that it feels a little bit off because it's not the biggest deal for me. At least it's not terrible. Like I would consider the combat in The Witcher 3 pretty terrible. It's not that bad. It definitely feels more competent than something like that because it does have like, you know, the kind of Arkham, like Peter mentioned, locking onto people, hitting them until you do the cool kill animation, which always looks cool. Yeah, it really it's not taking the extra step to becoming like an actual good combat system. It's just it's left itself at very average. Yeah, very, very average.
Interesting. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it and excited to see what your thoughts are of the story should you end up concluding the story. But I'm glad that you're enjoying the world and the exploration. The game's a looker. I mean, I think there's no doubt about that. Everyone can be in agreement that the game is one of the prettiest looking games we've seen this console generation, and it's definitely a testament to the studio's engine they've created.
Yeah. And I just when I was mentioning about the exploration and how it feels rewarding, one of the biggest reasons for that is the ripped off Breath of the Wild stamina. Like I didn't realize until playing this game how influential that actually is to making exploration good. Because if you have infinite stamina like Assassin's Creed, and you climb up like some huge building, yeah, it feels a little bit cool. But if you did it all yourself while managing stamina and even like using tools like the grapple and shit to or using like the environment to make the trip easier and then you get to the top, that's way more satisfying. It's way more satisfying. And that's why I like the Breath of the Wild stamina is so good. Like this game takes perfect advantage of it. Like you can climb really big like hills, mountains, the sides of cliff faces and actually feel like you did something that required skill. And you're constantly doing it, if that makes sense. You're constantly like running around, you're constantly climbing shit. So it's a constant like dopamine feedback loop of satisfaction, basically. So I'm really glad they stole that mechanic from a different game. Because it's great.
Well, while we're on the topic of glazing Pearl Abyss, I do think we should also talk about their incredibly fast response to the AI art assets controversy that kind of happened as the game launched. I think this is a really interesting story, and I was really proud of their response, to be honest with you. I'm sure some people will feel differently, but just to set up the story really quickly while Sean's getting some much-needed hydration. Shortly after the game launched, some folks were playing the game and realized that a lot of the painting assets in the game were AI generated. They were just, it was the most obvious looking AI generated art you've ever seen. It was horses without the correct number of legs and hands that didn't make sense, and bodies and torsos
terrible.
contorted.
It was really low effort. It's like, holy crap.
Very, very low effort. Yeah. But to Pluribus's credit, they took their L and they owned it very publicly and just came out and said, yeah, we did that. We use them as placeholders. We have real artists that made real work. We're going to load them in the game, and we're going to fix it right away and update the Steam listing to disclose AI. We apologize. And I was really impressed with their apology. And I mean, I know some people were very cavalier in saying, oh, they're only mad because they got caught. I don't really care whether or not, I don't really care what causes a studio to disclose honestly and like reward their artists. I just care that they disclose honestly and reward their artists. Like, I don't care if it's public pressure that causes it or if it's just them doing it of their own volition. I mean, I'd prefer that they do it of their own free will, but I was quite happy to see their response just coming out and saying, we did use AI placeholders. We didn't intend to leave them in the game. We're replacing it with human art now. Sorry, and here's our disclosure. So I liked their response. I'm curious, Sean and Peter, how do you feel about their response to the situation?
I mean, it depends on whether they knew about it or not. But assuming they didn't know about it, then yeah, that's it seems like in line. You know, a lot of them are using AI for placeholders now. It's just a really easy way just to put something in there to see how it looks when something's missing. You know, and then like you said, they just pull it out usually before. But man, like I've seen this controversy before where they're like, it's AI generated, and then like you look at the image, you're like, oh, I guess it looks kind of AI generated. But these are ones where it's like, no, you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, that is an AI image.
Yeah,
that is also bad. That is like first generation.
Yeah, they are. They're like original AI image. But that also that lends credibility to their claims that it's accidental, I think, because they're so bad.
It does. Yeah. It does. It's so bad. It's like, how could they think of like yeah, it actually makes sense now. They're not trying to trick anyone. You know, when you see a horse with like 5 legs, you know, it's that wasn't like, oh, nobody's gonna notice this. It really was bad, but I could also see them just kind of using it to fill assets. So, I mean, I feel like their response was pretty good considering.
Yeah, I think guilty or not, the response is still okay. Obviously, if they lied and said that they put it in the game accidentally and they didn't, that is sketch. But the fact is, we're never going to know. Only the people in studio know. Yeah. So I think the response was like, you know, it was just handled extremely professionally well and in a way that satisfied everyone. And I think that's a really good way of doing stuff. And that's kind of been how they've handled everything, which I really liked. That they're very like that they just accept responsibility. They acknowledge. They even went as far as acknowledging the other day when the latest massive update came out. They acknowledged that they did sacrifice, like, you know, we didn't put as much care and attention into the story as we could have because we were left with limitations and with few options after the game was very quickly moved from an MMO like a couple of years ago. So we didn't have time to get like a really good story because we wanted to make sure that like the other stuff felt really good first. You can retort that with a ton of stuff, like, you know, just delay the game. That's valid. Like if you really had to scrap a game at last second and you're making a new one, fine. But you know, there's basically no valid excuse to releasing like a game that wasn't finished properly. That's not. But what I'm talking about is the response. The response was just taking accountability, making updates and fixes to change certain things, and just being like open and honest and not coming across like an evil anti-consumer company. It sounds like, you know, it's a very low bar, but people don't do, like, studios don't do this. It's a very low bar, but it's not reached very often. So it still has to be, you know, credit where credit's due. Not everyone would behave like this. The AI art thing really could have gone out of hand.
And you said the story was pretty meh anyways.
Oh yeah, the story, I'm really not a fan. And I tried for like for maybe like 15 to 20 hours to like keep track of what was going on, which is very simple. That wasn't difficult. It's just there's like, yeah, this the voice acting is pretty poor, apart with the exception of like the very main characters. Those are okay voice actors. Like Cliff sounds cool. There's a couple of other people that sound cool, but like everyone else just sounds like really just unprofessional, maybe not very interested, not enthusiastic sometimes, and the actual story and writing itself has failed to pique my interest at all yet. It's been very bland. Yeah.
Can I ask a question? And Peter, this will give you an idea of the story, because this is the very first quest you get when you get to the very first city. Okay, this is not like a spoiler. Okay,
yeah.
Sean, I need to know: did I miss something horribly, or is this really the sequence of events as it happened? Okay, brace yourself, Peter. This is about as bad as game writing gets. You arrive in the very first city in Hernand, and you go up to the gate to go see the king or whatever, and they're like, "You don't look dressed well enough. You need to go get some clothes." Okay, so you go into town to get some clothes. I am not kidding you. This is the extent of my understanding, Sean. This is not an overestimation. You're walking through the town and you see some kids being mean to a beggar guy. So you shoo the kids away. You give the beggar a coin, and the beggar goes, "Actually, I'm not a beggar. I'm a demigod, and now I'm going to whisk you away on an adventure." It feels so random. And I'm like, I'm so fucking confused. Like, I'm like, wait, what? How was I supposed to know this guy? I mean, there was an X on the map saying, "Go give this beggar a coin." But like, did I miss something, Sean? Is the story really just that loosey-goosey, or what is going on here? Like,
I hadn't considered how ridiculous that is until you like mentioned it, but yeah, no, you are exactly right. So you need the clothes. You're in like a little tent in a camp. Seems quite normal. You need clothes. The guards tell you need like nice clothes to come in, which is like there's already so many confusing things here about like why that interaction is the way it is. But then you go down to the village. You get in an arm wrestle with some random guy who doesn't know you. You get in an arm wrestle with this random guy. You beat him. He's like the world's biggest man. You beat him in the arm wrestle. You step outside. A beggar wants money. You give him money. He says, "I'm actually not a beggar," and then he runs away and teleports through a Doctor Strange portal. And then you go through a hole in the ground. For some reason, Cliff feels compelled to go into the manhole that the beggar was sat on. So he climbs down a ladder, goes through like a weird, like ancient tunnel right underneath the town center, like 5 feet underneath the town center. Mm-hmm. There's a girl in there. She teleports you to heaven. The girl in there teleports you to heaven. Right?
Okay.
She teleports you to heaven. You're in heaven. You do like Cliff is just like, okay, Cliff's going along with this. He keeps walking through heaven. He's looking around. Completes a puzzle in heaven. Goes into like a giant magic witch tower. And meets this guy, and this guy is like, "I am God." and then there's a girl, and then there's a bird that turns into a girl with a mage outfit on with a giant hat on.
And these events feel so like,
and then you go back to the town,
disconnected. Like in The Witcher 3, The Witcher 3 opens with Vesemir and freaking Henry Cavill. I can't remember
Henry Cavill
character's name right now.
Wait, you mean the show or the game?
Geralt. Yeah. God, I could not remember Geralt. Geralt and Vesemir are like, "We've got to find Yennefer. Follow the trail of Yennefer." They go to the town to find Yennefer. That's logically follows. They're on her trail. There's a story of them trying to find Yennefer. In freaking Crimson Desert, you're just doing things because the minimap tells you to go there, and I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand why it's telling me to do these things. I'm like, who are these people? Yeah, why am I being whisked away?
I remember there was multiple points. There was multiple points early on in the game where I was like, hang on a minute, pause. Cliff, don't you have any questions? Like, Cliff, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, does any of this not bother you? Like, even when you die, when you die the first time and he's walking around in like the weird abyss place, I'm like, Cliff, does this not seem strange to you? Like, do you have any reaction to this whatsoever? No, he's very nonchalant, and he just seems to do whatever people tell him to do.
He's so fucking Chad, dude.
Yeah, he is. He is unironically, he's a cool guy. He's nice. I like being the nice guy main character. It's a trope that I like. Like the clan, like the Greymanes, they're supposed to they're like vigilantes basically. They're supposed to be very nice. They're known for being helpful, and Cliff is like that. He's like kind to everyone he speaks to. It's nice being that kind of main character. So that's the base praise I can give to that's like the lowest possible praise I can give. The main character is not unlikable. He's not unlikable at all. Yeah.
He is totally inoffensive, but he also asks no questions. He's just cool. He's down with everything that's going on, whether that's random beggars going through portals or going under the underworld. Like it feels so random. I don't know. I genuinely don't. I would love to have known what their writer's room was like thinking. Like, just like, screw it. Let's just have it all. Like, just have them do all this, like, these things and go through it. Like, but there's no why. There's no like reason for all of these things. It's just happening to Cliff, and it's just very.
I wonder if the main story was just like a homogenous mix of like quests that were made for the MMO that they just slapped together.
Unironically, yes, I believe so. Unironically, yeah. It's obviously totally been
possible
edited, but yeah, that they must have because they had to remake the entire game. They must
that
have.
That would make sense if they're just like, okay, so you're gonna go here, and then magically you're gonna be here, and then
And these characters who are like these characters who are flat and just weirdly basic and generic, I bet it's because they used to be just the people with the yellow exclamation mark on their head. Like, that's what they used to be.
Yep.
So last second they had to be like, right, we need a voice actor and we need a quick script. Like, just do it now. Like, make whatever. That absolutely has to be what happened. That's what it feels like. It feels like a slightly more advanced version of a World of Warcraft NPC, basically.
I do wish we could like have dialogue trees where you could just ask some basic questions of where am I? What's going on? But like, no, you don't get any dialogue choices. The game's just like Cliff just says yes to everything and go. And it is definitely a very wonky story. I can see why this story got read for Phil.
Sorry to interrupt. To play,
no, you're fine.
To play devil's advocate, maybe because Cliff already lives in what is clearly an extremely fantasy world with dragons flying around and shit, maybe he thought, this is somewhat believable, so he just decided not to question anything. Is that possible?
This is just a normal day for him. Yeah. This is one long normal day for Cliff.
Yeah.
It is. It's definitely interesting. The writing is very like, wait, why are we arm wrestling? Okay, we're arm wrestling now. Like,
arm wrestling that guy was that was so random. And then all the interactions with people are just weird. Like, everything is so quick, and it's one of them stories where it has the trope of everyone just accepting everything immediately. Like, you walk into town and you're like, I want to speak to the fucking mayor or the king or whatever, and they're like, yeah, okay, we can make that happen. And I'm like, oh, okay, what? And then we speak to him and he's like, right, you ran this trope of you random new man. I need you to complete quite possibly the most important task of all time. The most important task, like the town of Hernand has ever known. You are going to do it. Like, what's your name? I don't even know your name. Cliff? Sorry, did you say Cliff?
You random new man.
It's full of that trope. It happens everywhere you go. There's a place I went to where like I found this kind of sophisticated, like advanced civilization in like a really cool city. They were all kind of like wearing all ornate stuff, and their buildings were all glowy with fancy doors that like opened with magic and stuff like Hogwarts. It was really cool. But upon getting inside, I spoke to one person. I'm literally walked in wearing my rags. I'm wearing my rags with like a wooden shield on my back. Probably stink of shit. Like, I've just climbed up a huge mountain to get here. And this like scholar,
in sweat.
Yeah, and this like scholar who greets me is like, listen, someone stole a really valuable, really expensive book from our library. You are gonna figure out. You are gonna figure out who stole it. Here's the suspects. Here's the suspects. I need you to go and question every one of them. So you do. And you question them, and they're all like, "Okay, this guy's gonna question me. This guy's gonna question me."
It's like MMO Quest 101.
Yeah, it is.
It's always you walk
really
up
is.
and then
really
just some random guy in the street. Hey, I'm gonna need you to beat this beast that's been killing our town for the last couple decades. You seem like the guy for it. Anyways, go do it.
Yeah.
Very flat. Straight
in the case of The Witcher, like, Geralt is a Witcher. His eyes look freaky. People know they have crazy abilities. So it kind of makes sense. Like, oh, dang, you're a Witcher. Maybe you could help defeat our werewolf. Like, but in the case of Cliff, he's just a normal Chad. So
maybe
it's just like,
because he's a grey mane. Like, there's a chance I'm just being stupid, and it's because he's a grey mane. Everyone knows that he's like helpful, but I don't know. Like the rest of the grey manes, they're all fucking bumbling idiots. Like, they can't have a great like reputation. They're all just they're like drunkards. They are like they're highly regarded, but Yeah, so if I'm missing something and there is reasons for this stuff, I do apologize. It's just off the first impression,
I can't think of any reason
it really
outside
falls
of just
into
slapping it together.
Yeah, it really falls into that
bits
main
and pieces of other stuff. Yeah.
MMO trope of like the king of the universe giving you tasks to do, even though you are just off the street. It definitely falls into that. Well, sorry.
Yeah. The exploration is so good that you keep coming back. Like that's how good the game is. That's how good the exploration is. So I mean, that's a testament to the game. But yeah, I'm good to move on. I really wanted to call out the writing, or I wanted to ask about the writings. I was like, when I was going through the portal with the homeless dude, I was like, I must have missed something here. Like, how did we know this dude was so important?
Imagine if you didn't give him. Imagine if Cliff didn't give him a coin. Cliff's life would just be he'd just be a random guy. Wow. I guess that's supposed to be, you should always look after the less fortunate, everyone. That's the lesson of the episode.
Hey.
I feel like with talking about the combat and the story, I might have come across like more negative than I mean to. Because I know I didn't sound overly negative, but I want to emphasize I really quite like this game. And the reason is, even though the combat I would say is mid and the story is bad, the exploration for me is like 80% of what I wanted from the game, and it's very good. The exploration is very good. It's very rewarding. If you do get into a fight, it's not unfun. It's fine. And the story is you can really just crack on with it and get it out of the way. You even unlock some cool stuff for doing it every now and then. So yeah, I honestly really like the game. Time. Yeah. I'm very surprised that some people are having like polarized reactions to it, but it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. It's definitely like an interesting game. It's not your typical like base modern day open world game that all seem very similar. It's definitely something that's trying to really lean into one aspect, whereas most games nowadays I feel like are trying to, like Assassin's Creed with the map and the question mark and all the accessibility options and like infinite stamina. I feel like that's
that's the kind of exploration like Ghost of Tsushima. Those are the kind of like the exploration where you open the map and you see all the things on the map and you're just like,
it's like a bit of a sigh.
Yeah, it seems overwhelming, and they're all the same thing, just slightly different. Yeah. And it seems like a chore. And then in Breath of the Wild, even though I did complain about what the actual reward is, just getting there was what do they say? The journey is
it's friends you made on the way.
Yeah. It's not the
journey is important as the destination. I think it's what
right. That's it. And
that's
so,
Breath of the Wild,
like you said,
all over.
They make the actual discovery process itself fun, as well as the environments for the discovery. So that's pretty cool, and that's what I did like about Breath of the Wild. It really did give you like something to explore. And for a game that looks so good, I can only imagine, because in Breath of the Wild, sometimes you get to a really high spot and you're like, oh, I bet this has a killer view, and it's just like some pretty plain looking, the textures were pretty meh in that game.
They did well for the Switch.
I mean, it matched the art style. You gotta say it's in tune with the art style, but at the same point, it wasn't made for vistas and beautiful scenery. You just be like, oh, look, I can see the volcano from here. Nice, that's great. But yeah, the game looks beautiful, and like I remember even in games where it's not about exploration, just finding a good spot just to view the whole environment just felt like you were there, and it really drove in the immersion.
Yeah, and I'm not going to talk about it much longer, I promise, but you just reminded me, since you mentioned like being able to see the large vistas. Clyde, I don't know, did you notice like if you like on the parts where you go to the abyss or anything, I don't remember if, like even the part where you meet the witch lady for the first time, how insane the draw distance is? I don't understand how they physically managed to do it. I know obviously with LOD and stuff, it's not that big of a it's very doable, but the way it looks in Crimson Desert is just ridiculous. It's partially due to the fact that the map, I think, is one of the biggest maps like in an open world game, at least of like.
Is it pretty big?
Years. It's extremely large. I haven't left the first country, continent, whatever you'd call it yet. Like the Hanand area. I mean, Yeah, no, I haven't.
That's pretty
I
good.
may have like stepped outside of it a couple of times because I was like looking for something.
Would you say that you'd explored pretty a good chunk of it by now?
Now, after 30 hours, yes, I'd say I've like
Okay.
I've hit a lot of the important parts of the first area, but there's four. There's four areas, and the last one, the furthest away, being the Crimson Desert, which is a very large area. Yeah,
Gotcha.
but that's an unbelievable amount of content, and from lots of places you can see all of this, and it looks absolutely unbelievable. It's really impressive. You know, technically.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, it looks really good. I'm excited to see how public perception changes, and I'm excited to see what they do with patching this game in the next 12 months. Next year, who knows?
If they keep up the pace, then probably fuck tons. Yeah.
I don't think they're going to fix the story, sadly, but I mean, you never know. I mean, hell, like, give it enough money and time, maybe they can do something. I don't know, but yeah, it's good. I'm glad people are enjoying it.
If the game continues at the quality that I have, which from what I've heard, it does. For the rest of the game, I think it's a game of the year contender for me. Obviously, we're still in March. Yeah, we're only in March, so there's a lot to happen. And GTA 6 will come out this year, but that is what it is. That's not really taken into account for me personally. Definitely game of the year contender so far for me.
All right.
Right.
You go.
Are we officially back? Excellent. What should we talk about next, people? There's a couple of little things
on the
to
list.
talk about. So, Clyde, would you like to brief me on this Warhorse Studios situation, please?
Yes, let's talk about it. So Kingdom Come Deliverance is made by a studio called Warhorse Games, and I've played KCD 1. I haven't played KCD 2, but I've watched a lot of it from Taylor, and I know that, Sean, you really enjoyed KCD 2 as well.
Love it.
Awesome game, really freaking amazing games, incredible just gameplay, story, voice acting, and unfortunately, a story broke on Reddit this week from a disgruntled employee who was let go. Basically, a translator that was translating, I believe, Czech for the Czech version of the game, and he essentially made the claim that they were laying off all of their translation team, and they are replacing them with AI. They are going to be replacing the entirety of their translation staff with AI. This story obviously was, as anyone listening to this living in 2026 knows, AI is a hot button issue, a hot topic issue, and it gets gamers talking and angry on both sides or positive on both sides really quickly. So this story picked up. Many people jumped to this, translator's defense, criticizing Warhorse Games. Warhorse Games did release a short non-statement today, basically stating that they weren't going to be talking about individual, issues. Curiously, their statement did seem to imply that there was some kind of performance issue with the employee. Like, it basically said, like, we're a talent-driven studio, and that's all we're going to say. And they wouldn't confirm or deny if they were moving their translation efforts towards AI. So that's the general summary, is that Reddit is currently on fire with this assumption or this claim that Warhorse is just laying off translators, localizers, and just plugging it into an algorithm. And yeah, that's kind of the summary of the story, where it's at.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So I remember reading from the story that I think Warhorse said that part of the I don't know who said this. Maybe it was one of the people who were supposedly being laid off, said that they believe that AI will be better at the sort of personal nuance of translation and, like, the things that so how when you use Google Translate or an app, sometimes there's some things that are just colloquial or like maybe a little bit illogical that languages still do, that like some systems just don't get right on when you use like an online translator, which is, I think everyone knows that. So they apparently, Warhorse, believe that AI would be better at doing this than a person. That's very illogical to me. I feel like it's absolutely common sense that someone who natively speaks the language is the best pick for this, because you see, especially if you watch like if you watch any sort of foreign media in a different language or like anime or anything like that, you know that they often have to like change subtitles or reword things because there just simply isn't like a direct translation sometimes. And that's right. And they manage to do it very well, and the reason they manage to do it very well is because they have very good translators who know how to get the point across as clearly as possible in the new language, because they speak both languages, so they understand what the transition is supposed to sound like what the crossover is supposed to sound like. So, yeah, I do find it kind of bizarre. And I also think I'm maybe I was wrong to be surprised, because I feel like this is just every studio now. I think I really thought Warhorse Studio were kind of the opposite of this, just because I recently spent so long playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and that game is very clearly like so art driven, if that makes sense. Like the whole game is driven on like personal touch. All the voice acting is so personal. All the art and the design of locations is so personal. Like it's so intricate and it's so detailed. So I thought they had like a big focus on that, but it seems like they made it clear that they actually will, where they think it's easier and where they think it's most efficient, they actually will just switch to AI. That's basically what they've said now.
It's definitely spooky, and I think it's definitely a sign of the times. I'm not against AI tools as a concept, but when studios are just flat out going, we're just going to fire XYZ team and replace it with ChatGPT, I think they're setting themselves up for a disaster. And it's like you said, like we've all seen really bad subtitles. I will say really quickly, anecdotally, I lived in Japan for about 3.5-4 years, and I tried very hard to learn Japanese while I was there. I studied Japanese in college before I went there, and at one point I believed, for a long time I believed that learning a foreign language was as simple as like making a dictionary in your head, and if you just put enough words of blank equals blank, that you would be fluent. But after living in Japan for 3-4 years, I somewhere along the way I learned a valuable lesson about translation, which is that it's not about blank equals blank. It's about understanding the image the person you're speaking to has in their head when you say the word. Like if I say the word police in Japanese, understanding the image they have in their head, that is the real trick of speaking a foreign language. It's not a matter of like literally translating every word in your brain into every literal word in their brain, because the image they have in their head is a different one than what we have in our head for the word police. So it requires someone who understands really both cultures and languages on a nuanced level to actually accurately translate it and convey your intention properly, rather than just plugging all the words into a literal semantic translator or verbatim translator and just spitting out those words, because the image they'll have in their head is totally different than the image you have in your head. It's very difficult to explain, but I've seen a lot of bad automated translations. There's like a whole English sub on on Reddit that shows horrible translations that businesses do all the time, and I'm worried that this is going to end up becoming a situation where studios go, hey, we can just lay it off. Also, totally different topic. So if y'all want to jump in, you're welcome to. But if the money that they were saving by firing that guy was going to a good cause, I would feel slightly better about it. But the fact that $50K or whatever they're going to save by firing that translator, or however many translators, the fact that it's just going to go to some executive, man, that just icks me out. That really just miffs me really badly. And I'm just like, dang, dude, like, I do not like it. I love AI tools. I think AI tools are the future. There's no getting away from that. But the idea that right now in 2026, so many executives just see AI and they go, I can make more money by firing everybody. It's just like, that's just the worst outcome possible. Like, yeah, it's just terrible.
I'm not surprised they replace people with AI. What I am surprised is that they said it's better, because like there is no way
that's the thing
that they're better. No, that's bullshit right there. Like, obviously they're not going to come out and say, oh yeah, we're replacing people because fuck people, but just just pulling something out of their asses like that. Like, translation period is hard, like really hard, but that's ignoring like localization, which is like a skill. It is an art, like that isn't something that's just, you can say this is objectively good. Like some companies just do amazing localization, and it's something that you have in combination with your translation skills. So like, even if they found this amazing AI for translating, it wouldn't be able to do very good localization either, And even if they found a good one for localization, it's messed up that this is where we're at. But yeah, I feel like we're just going to see a lot more of this. And
Me too.
and it sounds like they're starting to just pull excuses out of their asses if they're telling us that it's actually better when we know better.
Unless there's
Pretty spooky.
Unless there's something I'm missing about translation, unless there's been a massive advancement in like
I feel like we'd be hearing more than just a game company talking about it. We'd be hearing like all these anime services being like, "Oh wow, this is so good."
Yeah,
all these
exactly.
fan subs would be going insane. Like, "Whoa, we don't have to sit here and like waste our free time doing unpaid work when this AI is so much better." It's because it's not. 'Cause, like,
I mean, like a great example of this is like the wealthiest company in our world, Google, right? Their YouTube auto captions suck. They're terrible.
True.
Like YouTube auto captions regularly get read for filth and turned into memes because they can't even understand what people are saying. So what hope do they have of translating it if they can't even hear what they're saying in the first place? Like they can't even accurately transcribe what is being said. So yeah, I think this is a recipe for disaster. I feel for the people that are losing their jobs right now, and I wish studios would embrace AI tools and let the people in these roles do more productive work and do more valuable work rather than just be like cut them and send the checks to the executives. Look at how many redundant people we made this year. Like it's just terrible. It's so bad.
Actually, just briefly, you mentioned that you lived in Japan for 4 years, which I did know, but I forgot. So I have some questions. Me and a group of friends.
Oh no.
Me and a group of friends in November will be going to Japan for the first time for about 3 weeks, and I want to know, like, what should I know before going? Because obviously I've done some research on some of the places that we're going, but there is a lot of places that we're going.
First off, thank you for telling me because I'm going to hook you up with some of my friends in Tokyo. I'm assuming y'all are going to Tokyo. So
yes, I think
if you spend any time in Tokyo, I'm going to hook you up with some people that will take you out, show you awesome bars and restaurants, and you'll have a good time. So
nice,
definitely.
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah, that'll be great. I'll send you a list of restaurants that I really recommend too. But it really just depends on the kind of experience you want. Like I'm very much not a city person. Most of my time in Japan, I lived in like rural mountain villages. Like I lived in northern Honshu, out in the middle of farm fields. I lived in Kyushu, but like in very remote, like way far away from Fukuoka. So like I'm very much a remote person. I like hiking and stuff like that, but it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for like bars and stuff, I will let my Japanese Tokyo friends help you with that. But if you're looking for like hiking recommendations, I got you covered.
Honestly, I think more of the latter. I think that we obviously will want to check out bars and stuff at some point, but we're mainly going just to try and see everything, as in like actual experiences, hitting as much of it as possible, going to all of the the landmarks. Yeah, really trying to see, like, we're gonna be. I've looked at the fucking whatever you call it, what's the word for like the we have like a scheduled on an app, like the plan of the places that we're gonna go, and it is tight. Like I don't remember it all off the top of my head because there's so many, and some of it isn't booked yet. Obviously, it's still a long way away, but it is good. Like we are gonna do it. Some of the things are already paid for.
How big is your group, and how many days are y'all there?
So there's. Right now, there's 3 of us going, with a fourth, in potential, questioning it, and with effort, I think basically exactly 3 weeks. I think, yeah,
that's a great amount of time. That is such a good amount of time.
We didn't want to do any less than 3 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks is fine. Is the lowest amount of time I recommend people go for. But if you can go longer, I recommend it. Oh man, y'all are gonna have an awesome time. You're gonna have a great time. Yeah, we'll connect off Zoom. Or we'll connect off Discord, and I'll link you to some people, link you up with some people on Facebook. If we're not already Facebook friends, we should be.
Yeah, I don't have it, but yeah,
you're gonna have a great time.
Yeah, I just wanted to let
in Tokyo,
you know that.
You'll meet there's a lot of Tokyo's a great English speaking place. Like there's a lot of people that will speak English there, and there's basically people are used to tourists there. But if you get out of Tokyo, if you get out of major metropolitan areas, you will run into language barriers. So yeah, you can send me your itinerary and I'll take a look and see.
That's the word I was looking for. The itinerary. I couldn't think of that word. Yeah, it's very stacked and it's very tight. Is it worth, like, I think I already know the answer, but is it worth attempting to say absolutely anything in Japanese, or is it more, is it more, is it more sort of efficient to just openly try and speak English?
Hell yes, please do speak Japanese. Like, please.
Oh, really?
Like,
Okay.
there's a horrible. Yeah, try as much as you can to like greet people, say thank you, ask for the check, say goodbye. Japanese people freaking love seeing foreigners making an effort because they know their language is quite complex and there's a lot of nuances to it. So just showing an effort is such a valuable thing and it means a lot to them. Like, you will get so many people that will just glow and be happy and their minds will be blown because of it. I definitely recommend I can write down, like, I can record like 50 essential phrases or something, or 25 essential phrases, and
Yes,
you can practice those. But yeah, you're gonna have a great time. You're gonna have killer food. You're gonna take a lot of photos though. You're gonna have so much freaking social media content. It's gonna be crazy.
Yes, I am. Well, back to some games though. We were just talking about the fact that the KCD people, Warhorse laid off the translating team. Did you hear about all the other fucking layoffs that happened last week? It was kind of
Tons
insane.
of layoffs happened.
So
we got hit by a layoff storm.
Yeah, all I have in my notes are that apparently Epic Games laid off 1,000 people.
Yep.
Yeah, and apparently Fortnite is just in the shit a little bit right now. Even though it's obviously very successful, still I think their costs are maybe getting ahead of them a little bit. Because they laid off like a massive amount of people, and they said that the game didn't perform very well in 2025, despite the fact that it is, one of the most popular games ever. I think they are running into issues somewhere, so they laid off 1,000 people, including like the character artists and in the general artists for like the original game, like all like like the mainstay people. Wow, yeah, that's huge. And also Sony laid off a few people, mainly mobile game devs, but they shut down another not indie studio, but like a smaller studio made by the people who used to make the guy who used to make like COD Zombies. They've tried to make 2 studios and they've both been closed. This is his second studio closing down. And I believe they're going to try and make a third one. which is funny. But yeah, just a ridiculous amount of layoffs. Like, what is happening? Is this like is it too expensive?
And this isn't even the closures. Think about Bluepoint. Think about the High Guard devs. Think of all the games that just immediately poof out of existence because they didn't sell well enough. We are seeing unprecedented closures right now and layoffs right now and reductions right now. Ubisoft announced they had staff reductions this year. Like, 2026 is a battleground for the games industry right now.
It's been happening the last couple of years too. It's just been piling up more and more. These last 3-4 years, game devs have been getting hit hard with layoffs. It's been unprecedented.
Yep, Battlefield Studios had layoffs this year, even though it was their Battlefield 6 was their best-selling game so far, and they've also laid off staff recently. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's crazy. I don't know if it's like AI driven, greed driven, maybe, yeah. But yeah.
I'm sure there's reasons. I mean, I don't know. I really don't understand enough about the economics of the whole thing to make any kind of educated guess about what happens, especially with Fortnite. That one's so confusing to me because that game must make so much fucking money. Do you think they spend money on? Do you think they spend money on all of the crossovers and shit, and like the amount of people that they staff? Is it too much? Like,
no idea. The licensing has to cost them something, but
yeah,
I think it's just basic. Sorry, I think it's just the basic corporate. You can't just make a lot of money each year. You have to make more money than you made the previous year, and then with all this inflation that's been happening and the rise of costs of everything, just everything going up, like it's cutting into your margin, and they're not able to pull out those market gains that the investors desperately want them to see. Like I said, it doesn't matter if you make the same amount of a shit ton of money you made last year. It has to be more, right? So, and the way a lot of these companies do it is they lay off people, and then they go, hey, look, now we got all this extra cash flow, whoop-de-doo. And yeah, I wouldn't doubt if some of it is AI, but it's just a lot is the economy and prices, and the market's in a slump, and they're fighting hard to go against that.
Can I ask a question? I'm curious what y'all's thoughts are on this. Like, I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of a of a developer at one of these studios, maybe they've worked at one of these studios for 10 years or 5 years and they poured their guts into making their games. They get laid off. Why would these developers not immediately turn around and say, screw all that corporate BS? Let's just make the next big indie game and pop off with a really big indie game and get like 10 of these freaking laid off devs or 10 of these laid off artists together and make the next huge indie game. Like, is that a viable option for these people, or are they just totally borked? Like, is there too much cost investment to make an indie in 2026?
I mean, hasn't that happened? Like, Expedition 33 was run by a very rich person.
That's definitely happened before, yeah.
But
that's true.
It was made from recycled devs, yeah.
But it's a lot of that is coalescing around people who make indie game studios, who have ideas for games, and they want to make them. Whereas if you just take a bunch of random devs from, I say random, but if you just take, a huge portion of these devs who have been fired and you just throw them at something, like, how many of them have an original idea, that they need to work on? And, how many of them, are, 2D artists, whereas, you need a little bit of everything in an indie studio. And like, what if, of these 1,000 people laid off, like 500 of them were, in VFX or something like that, right? Like, so not only do you need a good mix of everything, you need something cohesive to like pull them all together. That they were working for 100%. The same company is a pretty good line, but like I said, like these indie companies start because someone has an idea for a game and then they pull people in as needed. Whereas, just taking a bunch of devs, putting them together and say, make a game, seems like a good idea, but there's just nothing, to connect them, if you will, if you get what I'm talking about.
That's fair. No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I'm thinking like, what I don't know what these devs should be doing, because like going back and jumping to another company that's very likely going to experience layoffs in the next 5 to 10 years is super unattractive. That is not a very attractive option. So
right, and yeah. I think a lot of these people are gonna think that, and they're gonna think, why do I want to work for some big corporate company where I'm just a number and I'm gonna get fired? And I feel like a lot of these people are gonna have a lot better view of indie game companies, and they're gonna want to be on these indie game companies. And I think this might be like a hidden boon for indie game companies who are looking for people with big skills that don't want to deal with that corporate BS and want to have some sort of job security and have more freedom with what they're doing on there. So it could be good for them, but yeah, I don't know how that works. And, for every 5, devs fired from a big company, how many can the indie scene actually absorb, right?
Right. That's a good point.
Their teams are pretty small and specialized, and I really wish there was an easy way for them to get to work, but I hear it's just really tough finding jobs in that market right now.
Yeah, it absolutely
Freaking
has.
job market.
Like, just a couple of examples from the Google results is like the Hades team is made by ex-EA devs. Obviously indie game, but extremely successful. Super Giant Games, responsible for Hades and Bastion. FTL, Faster Than Light, that game, which is that like still a thing, by the way? I that's a game that I've heard of like forever, and I don't even know what it is, but it's so popular that I've heard of it a few times.
It's like a spaceship sim kind of game, I believe.
That's made by former AAA devs. Papers, Please, made by former Naughty Dog devs, and Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight's made by former AAA devs.
So, Embark was made by former
DICE.
Was it Battlefield devs?
Yeah, DICE. Yeah.
And
they're crazy.
Expedition 33 is definitely big. Yeah.
Expedition 33, I think,
crazy.
Had the controversy over whether it counts as indie or not. Well, I think there was two controversies. There was the AI controversy where they admitted that they used it in the game, and which I can believe, and then the controversy of like, do they really count as indie because they had a lot of money behind them? But the devs themselves, I think, are ex Ubisoft.
I don't think it's the money. It's the, are you not some big giant corporate machine just shitting out games?
Yes, it's that. Yes, it is that. Yeah.
Like if an indie company is successful, are they suddenly no longer indie? Like, no, you can be a successful indie company. You're right. I don't like that, the money excuse. I don't like that.
No, you're right. It's because it is about the fact that it is like an individual game, like you said. It's not really about like how much money got put into it. Although I think it does change things when there's money, but it still isn't. It doesn't make it not an indie game, but it is different still.
Right.
I think that's It's not the same as like people sitting in their basement making a game, but that's not actually.
It won't be a low budget game anymore. Sure, but literally independent.
It is independent. Yeah.
By definition.
Yeah.
What they are.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Well,
speaking of the messed up economy, PS5s.
Oh fuck! I forgot about this.
Rocketing up in price.
I wanted to make fun of this.
Yeah, someone. I read somewhere someone posted it's $900 for a PS5 Pro, and if you want a disc drive for it, which you're gonna want on a console because cheap games are on discs. If you want it used, you'll get, cheap games. So that would be an extra $100. So $1K. For a PS5 Pro.
Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
Like in 2026.
Taylor, we were standing in Walmart and I was telling Taylor, since our PC can't run Crimson Desert, maybe we'll just get a PS5 Pro. I pull out my phone. I see it's now going to cost $1,000. I fall to my knees in the middle of a Walmart and just shout, no! that level of price hike is just ridiculous. Absolutely insane. Who is dropping $1,000 for a PlayStation 5 Pro right now?
That's PC.
Suddenly,
bonkers.
Suddenly PCs are looking much better now, and suddenly the Steam machine looks like it might have a little room to wiggle in there with console.
Absolutely.
Yep. Wouldn't it be crazy if Valve predicted that? That's the kind of thing they might know. Crazy. Like through their market research, they might have known.
Well, I mean, let's look at it. Why is it more expensive? Well, because we have tariffs. And because there's shortages in parts. Like, how long have we known about this? Quite some time. I mean, it's very likely that they could have seen a lot of this coming and made plans about it because this has been in the works for a while. I remember Nintendo for the longest time when they did the Switch 2, there was just talk over and over again about how they're going to raise the price because the part shortages, inflation, the tariffs. Nintendo just up and said we may have to raise the price for this, and that was a while ago. So I think it's been on the market's mind for quite a bit.
True.
I mean, let's be real. Even the base PS5 costing $650 means with taxes you're paying over $700 for a base PS5. That is insane. That is an insane price in 2026. I don't know anybody who's just walking into a store and going, let me drop $700 on a base PS5. That is crazy. That is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah. Someone made a list of the last couple of generation consoles of what the starting price was and what the price was 3 years later, 3 or 4 years later. Every other console went down in price.
Yeah.
PS5 was the only one where it went up, and holy shit,
it's ridiculous. Man. I remember when I had a PS5 bought for me as a gift 6 years ago, longer, 7 years ago. It cost £350, which is probably just a little bit over $400.
Right.
And that was £350 in the UK for a games console is pretty affordable. That's a Switch is the same price as that, for example. And a Switch 2, obviously. But yeah, wow, I really didn't appreciate how cheap that was at the time. Wow. And because the PS5 is a great console. Same with the Series X was always a bit more expensive because it was technically a more powerful console. That did come back to bite Xbox in the arse, I think, a little bit, because it ended up just being not that great for other reasons. But it was more expensive because it was a bit more powerful. I think they charged $400 for it when it came out, or $450 maybe. But yeah, has the Xbox price hiked as well? Because is the Xbox so dead that no one writes news about it anymore? I think that might be the case.
I haven't heard anything about the Xbox.
I haven't heard about an Xbox in fucking forever.
They could be. They could be, but Microsoft is known to eat a lot of the cost of their consoles.
Yes.
So that they could very well just be eating more of that money than they should. Whereas Sony is pass it to the customer. It's your problem now, buddy.
Yeah.
Google seems to think the base Series X is $650 as well, which is that's just crazy. That's bonkers to me. I mean, I think about think about the parents, right? Like, think about people who's like their kid comes to them and goes, "Mommy, I want to buy a PlayStation for Christmas," and their parents now have to get a console, and that doesn't include any games, right? So we're already talking $700-800 just for the base console if you want to get a game. So it's like, holy moly, this is getting spicy. I say it a lot. This is a spicy meatball.
Spicy
This is a
fucking
spicy
meatball.
freaking.
It's a seriously spicy
That is a-
meatball.
That is a seriously spicy meatball for parents.
And that's why the disk drive is kind of a requirement, because I was talking to a friend about how the inversion between, like, on PC, digital games, very cheap. Tons of deals all the time. Go to key sites. You can get so dirt cheap. Great deals, and then meanwhile, consoles, like digital sales,
70, 60,
you
70.
won't get any result. No. If you want to save any money, you'll get a used game from someone else. Get the disc, buy it.
But when was the last time any of us did that? Who put a disc in their computer? When was the last time you put a disc in your computer? I mean, it's been a hot minute.
I haven't had
here.
a disc drive for maybe 10 or plus years.
I don't
know. Exactly.
I don't have a disc drive anywhere. The PS5 doesn't, and my PC doesn't. No disc drive in myself.
But like, it's funny that like the physical media is the cheapest for consoles, because that's all where the used market is, because you don't get the deals on digital. A lot of them are just, and it's very single marketplace for consoles, right? Whereas on PC you got all these different places to buy it, so there isn't even competition, so they can do that and gouge you for it. So it's really rough to be a console player right now. Yep.
Yeah. PCs are more attractive every time these prices go up. PCs just get more attractive, and PCs do all sorts of other great shit too. So it's just like, oh boy, I feel for console players right now. I don't know how parents are going to stomach that this Christmas. Oof.
It's so funny to me that the Xbox had the same price hike, but the Xbox is so dead that the news articles all just say PS5. I find that so funny. Like, the console war is over.
Because then you're gonna have to say Xbox ZSXXZ.
Oh yeah,
and then people are gonna be like, what fucking model even is that?
You have to say all the different versions.
Their naming scheme is so ass that nobody knows what Xbox they're ever talking about.
Did they ever make a Pro? No, they don't have a Pro. I don't think.
They did not.
No, they have
no Pro model for
the base
Xbox.
Series X, which is powerful. And then the Series S, which isn't. But that's also, so the Series S and Series X. Oh my god!
But what about the XS? Or is there a?
I don't think that's the thing. But there was before that was the Xbox One. But I think there might have been a couple of
the fourth Xbox.
Yeah, but I think there might have been a couple of different Xboxes.
I'm so lost in their naming schemes.
Yeah, Microsoft in general are terrible at naming schemes. Like, their marketing has been through such a shit show over the last like 20 years. They've gone through marketing teams so quick, like, because they recently just like restarted, because they did this is also an Xbox thing for a couple of years. No one liked it. Like the past like 15 things they've tried to do for marketing, like, it just went nowhere. Then the fact is, like, there isn't many games to drag you in. The console is expensive. There's not much reason to pay all the money for it. So the marketing isn't really helping. They had this is an Xbox marketing campaign that everyone thought was really cringe for a couple of years, and then they sacked everyone. And now they have a new CEO who used to be Microsoft's head of AI, who is now the CEO of the Xbox brand. Which is interesting. The same with everything Microsoft related. It just never looks like it's going in a good direction. It never does. Like, I haven't seen anything hopeful from them for a long time. A new CEO should be like, okay, maybe there's some hope. Like, because Phil Spencer brought a bit of hope, even though he never really lived up to it. But this time, no. Like, no one cares anymore. There's no like hope or interest in Xbox. It's the people don't even talk about it anymore. It's not even in the news stories where it should be relevant. Not in news stories at all.
I think it's pretty cooked. Pretty cooked. They're insisting Helix is their next code name for their next console.
Which is rumored to be AI related.
PC games.
Yeah.
It's like too little, too late. The market does not care. I will also say, just while we're talking about price increases, Netflix announced they're also increasing their prices this month. I think they're now going to 25 or something a month, or 20 a month or something. Netflix is also increasing their prices, and Taylor and I are looking at more of these subscriptions and going, do we really need this? Like, are we going to be around here for the $30, $40, $50 a month Netflix package? Like, it's getting pretty crazy out here. These prices are getting pretty spicy.
Spicy meatball. It's a seriously spicy meatball. Like, everything is becoming expensive. Becoming more and more expensive every month. Yeah, that Xbox Project Helix thing is rumored to be some sort of AI situation, like where you don't get a physical console. Like, these are like the rumors. Yeah, Xbox.
Lovely, amazing.
Have nothing to offer currently.
Poor parents. While it's this holiday season, are the people I feel for, because I'm like, Mommy, I want a PS5. Honey, you think we're rich? We're not rich. We can't afford $1,300 for a PS5 right now. Like, it's crazy. When a PlayStation costs more than a brand new iPhone, it's like, what is going on here?
God.
Like, a top of the line iPhone.
That's
like,
insane.
Pretty crazy.
That's insane. When you put it like that, that is ridiculous. Wow. Well, unless either of you have any more topics, I think I need to go and get my dinner. So I think I may have to wrap up there today.
I'm thinking this is going to age really poorly when we come up for our 2-year anniversary, and we're going to be like, dang, y'all remember when consoles only cost $1,000? Now they're $3,000 or something. Like, oh god.
Yeah. Well, it's a good point to come back to one day.
Consoles, what are those? Oh, yeah, they existed back then. Before we all went PC.
You remember the Xbox? It's like a museum piece. All the Xboxes. No, Xbox. No. Like, Xbox always try and do something ridiculous every time. Do you remember the Xbox One and Windows 8? Like, coming out at the same time, and they were trying to match, like, so Xbox One came out around the same time as Windows 8, and they tried to make it look identical because they were trying to do that thing where they made Xboxes into like home PCs. Oh my god, that makes me cringe so bad when I say it out loud. Like, how did they lose track so bad that they just stopped making a games console, and they were like, they tried to make it into a PC. Oh my god! And then the PS4 came out, which was just a games machine.
Ever since I saw that Microsoft, a version of Windows would be on the Dreamcast, I'd be like, oh look, consoles are finally getting PC-ified. And like everything since that, it's always been like underwhelming, very basic, like not at all anything PC related. Like, except for, what was it, the PS. Was it the PS3 where they actually allowed you to install an operating system?
Yeah.
I think that was the closest we ever came to actually having that. But now that's what Xbox is actually looking at, like, for real now. Is
for
like
real. Yeah.
Bridging their compatibility with the PC and the Xbox, and which might actually be a good move for them.
They've tried it before. It didn't go great last time. It has to be done very well. It has to be done very well.
They never went fully into it.
No,
it was always some half-assed crap.
And it was a shit console. They made the mistake of sacrificing the games. The console was so weak. The Xbox One.
I mean, is it possible they can fuck this up? Yeah, but at least it sounds on paper kind of good, and it's the opposite of Sony, where they're going full into exclusives and stuff. So
yeah,
we'll see how that.
I'm ride or die Steam, baby. Give me a Steam machine. I'm good to go.
Will be interesting anyway. Well,
Gaben, our Lord and Savior.
Yeah. Gaben. We actually get discounts on games. And we can refund our games.
Gabe Newell does nothing and continues to win.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go and get my dinner, gents. Thank you for your time. Clyde, thank you for hanging out with us for a year.
Happy to be here. It's so much fun.
All right.
It was fun.
Goodbye.
Later.